Do this to them till they murder me.
Greetings, YouTube. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you got. Enjoy the holidays. I got a little bit of an update for you. Fuel cell system has been completed. Give you a little bit of a run through. I know I showed you guys this before, but this is now mounted nice and solid. This I still have to tighten this one up, but these are caps. This is the return that I finished up, as you can see down there. All that on the wiring back here is just to extend all the wires that actually need constant power. Got it right here. All that running over my little custom power distribution there. I mean, it works. The only thing that concerns me is having this so close to this. I don't want it to arc, so I'm going to be putting some rubber insulation or whatever I can get my hands on really to separate these two. But I'm not really too worried about it since I'm not driving the car yet. But everything worked out exactly as I thought. I have the, like I showed you before, negative battery terminal, feed, return, all that stuff got welded up. That's all done. Show you in the back here. This got done as well. I know I probably covered it in the last video, but I had to make some adjustments to how I was routing it. So I made these. This is the return coming straight off of the intercooler. So I have the cold water coming in here straight off of the heat exchanger. Runs through here, goes to the tank. Then it goes and returns back to the pump and then straight into the heat exchanger again. I had to make these little junctions here. You gotta, I don't know why that's. This is a 12 AN or 3/4 inch line. So it works. This is mounted solid. This isn't going anywhere. Everything else is done on the car. Not really much to report on the engine side since I really didn't touch it. But here is the fuel return into the FPR. All of this now is 8 AN, except for the main feed that comes off of the cell, which is 10, and then it goes into an 8 AN. Also, I got rid of those pesky fuel filler lines. That's all gone now. Makes the interior, or makes it here, look a lot cleaner. Only coming out of the tunnel now is the air to water lines, since I didn't want them coming from the bottom anymore. I'm coming from the top. Let's see. Hold on once. All right. Let me get inside the car and show you guys what it sounds like when you start it up. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Mailman came in, delivered some goodies. So let's check it out in here. I also wired up the fuel gauge to properly read, since this type of digital Intellectronics gauge has a 0 to 90. Actually, it's got 3 settings. It'll read 3 different types of fuel level senders. So I set it to read the 0 to 90 ohm, and that's what kind the fuel cell does, or takes. So let's go ahead and start the car. And again, I showed y'all in the last video, but the pump is now over here on that side, like right over there. So let's see. Let's see how loud it is compared to how it was before when it was mounted on this real firewall. I'm not going to turn on the gauges. Very quiet compared to before. As you can see, it's going up. It should stop around 59, 60. I only got about 5 gallons in there. Remember, it's an 8-gallon fuel cell, so I know it doesn't hold a lot, but that's working perfectly. Although it is, like I said, it's not that loud. Show y'all. Woo! It works. Turn the feed. There's the level sender. I have this mounted right there. That is the ground. The signal goes straight to the gauge inside the cabin. Easy stuff, simple stuff. Uh-oh. Headed the wrong way. Show you all the rear. So you can see the flow. Yeah, that pump, that Jabsco cycle, it's got some good flow. Shit, oh, I got it wrong way. Okay, yeah, I managed to add this to shield everything from the heat. Idle's a little off. I have to adjust a few things since I'm probably getting a little bit more fuel now. Everything else is good. Fuel system actually done with no leaks. Turn it on. Yeah, so it's all done. I tested it. I actually had about 15 minutes of footage of the actually turn off the light of the fuel system, and I was underneath the car. I was doing the fittings. I had it all done on my other phone since my little 4K camera died, and none of it captured any audio. About 10 seconds in, it just stopped recording audio. No idea why, but my Galaxy X7 is it's terrible. Recording this on my Lumia 950. I use this mainly for the videos just because it's not my main phone and it records really, really well. But aside from that, I lost all that footage. So I was going to show you guys how I ran everything, how I mounted it, how I have the fuel pump mounted, the filters and the lines of filters, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. And how you actually had a detailed description on how you take off the and adjust the e-brake cables. It turns out I actually adjusted them a little too tight. When I was driving it, I can smell a little bit of burning even with the e-brake off. So I think it's still engaging, so I'm going to have to loosen that up a bit. But I'll probably do another video like that here soon. But other than that, it was a success. No leaks. As soon as I started the car up, there weren't any leaks. The only thing that I was actually dealing with underneath the car was the wires, actually. So I ran the two wires, the two cables for the fuel pump. The ground is like stuck down there on one of the bolts that mounts underneath the car somewhere, and then the power cable that's going right into the relay. But it was a little too long, and when I was driving it, I could hear it kind of clinking. Since it's like dash, it's not a dash. It's a 10 gauge line, 10 gauge wire. Since it's running a lot of amps, so I figured give it some juice. But other than that, there were no issues with the car. Car runs fine, although it runs a little rich. I think I need to revisit the tune. The car is going to get retuned now that it has that other turbo. Right now it's running really, really rich. I have no idea why. At first I thought, maybe it was the injector's clogged or something's clogged, and then I turned up the FPR. But it turns out, actually, show you guys. I was running one of these for a little, just because I didn't have anything on hand. This is the filter, the 10AN filter. What is this? In? Yeah, actually, let me kind of close this up. So I was running this pre-fuel pump, since this is 100 micron. Where is it in? See if I can show you guys. Where is it in? There. Like it is clogged beyond belief. I don't know. So I know what caused it, actually. So what caused it was I had in these tanks, one of these tanks over here, I had about 4 gallons of E85 from a previous project. And I was like, you know what, rather than let it go bad since it's starting to get cold outside, I'll run it through the car. Well, 4 gallons is all it took, because when I took this apart, the element inside, it was a bronze filter. The element inside had all this nasty a yellow gunky stuff stuck to the filter. and that killed it. And that actually explains why the pump was so loud. I mean, it was loud outside of that, you know, but now I have a much higher flowing fuel setup. The pre-filter setup, actually, or the pre-pump setup, is actually a 100 micron. After the filter is a 30 micron. You can't see it from here, but here's another shot of the pump way in the back there. So just an FYI, guys. I mean, that be careful with those bronze element fuel filters. And the 85, that was only like a month old, and it still ruined it. So, I mean, I'm sure I can clean it. You can clean bronze element filters, but whatever. Lesson learned. I'm not going to be using that anymore because the car does not run solely on E85 anymore. It did on its previous 3S GT setup. It doesn't anymore. It runs on pump. Yeah, other than that, that was the only other issue I found. All the other fittings got here on time. Everything went smoothly. Although making the 10AN lines out of the stainless line stuff instead of the black nylon, it sucks making those lines. Just the worst. I know they make a tool out there. I think it's Cool Tools makes it. I'm gonna be picking that up because I am sick of dealing with this crap. Because you all know, if you've ever made stainless lines before, it pricks your fingers. You gotta use a little screwdriver if it starts to fray and all that garbage. So I'm done with that. Just gonna be doing most of the line. The 8AN stuff was black nylon. I got a lot of this stuff. I got 6, 4, 8, 12, 16. I got it all over the place. Then I got a whole, I'll show y'all, got a whole bag or a whole box of fittings. This full, all kinds of them. So I've been giving them some away to the locals here when they need them. But other than that, the car is running fine. I'm going to go revisit my tuner here shortly, maybe as soon as he's free. January, maybe February, but the car runs fine like it is. I just don't, I haven't really floored it at all. I mean, I really don't even go past 3,500 RPM even when I was on the previous turbo when it was tuned for. But as soon as he has some time, I'm going to get in there and have it retuned. It's not going to be a full retune, but I do really need to have him check out the fueling because it's at idle, it's like 9s, like low to mid 9s now, and it's killing me. Like, I turned it on, like right now when I have the car on, even though the door is open, this whole area fills up quick with carbon monoxide. So I'm like, yeah, let's get that fixed. So aside from that, guys, not much else to report. So I'll let you guys go. Merry Christmas. Peace.